World Pork Producers have gathered in Des Moines, Iowa to talk about animal health, productivity, profitability, and how the industry will work together to manage some of the challenges the hog industry is dealing with. We're in the middle of it all and ready to make you part of the conversation.
Live from World Pork Expo in Capital City, USA via Farm Journal Studios, this is AgriTalk. This morning, we begin event coverage with Bryan Humphreys from the National Pork Producers Council. Then it's a Porcine Farmer Forum with panelists Lori Stevermer and Matt Gent. Directly following the news, Margie Eckelkamp from The Scoop. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson, and now the host of AgriTalk, Chip Lori.
All right. Thank you so much, Davis. Here we are. We're live in Des Moines at the Iowa State Fairgrounds and the World Pork Expo in the Varied Industry Building. If you are listening and on your way, do you remember what it is? The
V785.
Look at
V
that.
is
How
in
simple is
victory. 785. You betcha.
V785. Stop by. We're starting to get a little bit of a crowd. It's all looking down here at the World Pork Expo. And a big thank you, a huge thank you to United Animal Health for making our coverage from World Pork Expo possible. We're going to be hearing from some of the fine people at United Animal Health later in the broadcast. Also, I moderated a panel, a policy panel, NPPC policy panel already this morning. Bryan Humphreys, the CEO of NPPC, was on the panel. He's got some great insights that we are going to dig into a little bit on the show here in just a little bit. And then, of course, we've got the Farmer Forum coming up. And what a Farmer Forum. We've got Lori Stevermer from president of the NPPC and Matt Gent, president of the Iowa Pork Producers. So,
heavy hitters today. Yeah.
I think we can say the pattern is full.
Okay. All right. Well, we are at capacity for this show. In other words, at
Absolutely.
capacity. Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the news. What do you got, man?
We'll start with the weather. Areas of heavy rain, strong winds ongoing in the northwest. Showers and severe thunderstorms over parts of the upper and middle Mississippi Valley and Central Plains may produce damaging gusts, large hail, and localized areas of flash flooding. A heat wave will impact the southwest U.S. and California Central Valley. Chip, the U.S. Dow opened this morning around 80 points higher on speculation that a cooling economy will give the Fed room to lower rates this year. The futures market this morning sees one Fed rate cut before Election Day, probably in September. Those odds could change if Friday's jobs report brings any surprises.
Now, did you say those odds could change or will change?
I wrote could.
Okay. I think they probably will change. Unless this jobs number is a real stinker. Mm-hmm. If the jobs number stinks on Friday, then we start to get some cover built for the Fed to lower interest rates. Otherwise, it's a do-nothing Fed through the end of the year is what I'm still thinking.
Yep. Well, according to a poll commissioned by the National True Cost of Living Coalition, Chip, 65% of Americans whose incomes are 200% above the federal poverty line, which lies at about $30,000. So people surveyed 200% above the federal poverty line expressed pessimism that their financial struggles would improve over the course of their lives. Nearly half, or 46%, confessed they lacked even a $500 emergency fund. Respondents expressed anxiety over housing costs, childcare expenses, education, and debt.
That right there is why so many people, and you can feel it rising up from some of those lower poverty or some of the poverty levels, and it's rising up through into the middle class. All the concern, the financial concern, dude, is absolutely real.
Yeah, that's people making $60,000 that they surveyed.
Yeah.
In other news, recent floods in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil, have had a devastating impact on ag production, especially on the soybean crop. It's estimated that losses could reach between 1 and 2 million metric tons of beans due to the floods and landslides. Approximately 30 to 40% of the remaining grains to be harvested are damaged, and in the most affected areas, up to 70 to 80% of the grains are damaged. A key production area there, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil.
I don't believe any of it happened unless it turns into more demand for U.S. soybeans.
Fair enough. Ukrainian forces have reportedly used U.S.-provided high-mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, to strike military targets inside Russia. The authorization is limited to counter-fire purposes. However, the use of longer-range missiles remains prohibited. This is a stinky one, Chip. As long as we didn't allow Ukraine to attack within the Russian homeland, there was no problem. But things have changed here as well.
Definitely. It's almost as if an offense is the defense now.
Yes. Well, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen expressed concerns about the increasing number of Chinese exports to Russia, particularly dual-use goods that could be critical to Russia's war effort. These items are essential for manufacturing weaponry like missiles, drones, and tanks. President Joe Biden announced an executive order that will limit asylum requests at the U.S.-Mexico border. This order will be activated when the daily average of people attempting to enter the country between port of entry exceeds 2,500 over 7 days. The border will reopen for asylum seekers when the daily average falls below 1,500.
Well, and we all know how organized it's been to this point. So, that 2,501, I'm sure that they'll stop and wait.
Oh, sure.
For some day later. Yeah.
It's a well-oiled machine, yeah.
Well-oiled, yeah.
And finally, Egypt reportedly expects to import more than 20 liquefied nat gas cargoes this summer. That's a massive effort to ease energy shortages, causing power outages and shutting industrial plants. Chip.
All right. Thank you very much, Davis. Let's bring in Margie Eckelkamp, editor of The Scoop. Good morning, Margie.
Hey, good morning, Chip.
All right. Don't skip a step when you're getting ready to put the crop protection out there, right?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a pun intended today, both for retailers and farmers around adjuvants and making sure that you are delivering what you're setting out to deliver out in the field. So really, adjuvants think of them as facilitators. And this was really brought to light in a recent interview I did with Mark Gladdy from Winfield United. So they help ensure the inputs reach the intended target, maximize the activity, and ultimately boost the ROI potential of that application. He shares that really just putting on more herbicide is not the answer. Rather, look at these tools that you can put in the spray tank to help you achieve what you're setting out there to do with each sprayer pass. So there are 3 key steps for adjuvants in the tank mix. Step 1, they keep the herbicide active, for example, when using a water conditioner. Step 2, they deliver directly to the target, for example, with a drift disposition aid to the leaf. And step 3, they penetrate the cuticle, crossing the leaf barrier, really getting that active ingredient on target. Now, what's interesting is that's a big takeaway from last year when we had such dry conditions. The plants were putting on a thicker, waxy cuticle. So folks did not have as much success if they were not using a surfactant to spread that droplet over the leaf to cover more surface area and really help provide a slower dry time for those droplets, giving it a bigger chance to soak into the plant. So takeaways from last year, applications for this year and every year.
Awesome. Good stuff, Margie. I appreciate that. I assume that we can get more on that at www.thedailyscoop.com.
That's exactly where folks should go, thedailyscoop.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank United Animal Health for our coverage from the World Pork Expo. We've got Bryan Humphreys, CEO, NPPC, next.
AgriTalk is brought to you by United Animal Health, scientifically better animal nutrition. Learn more at unitedanh.com.
Welcome back to AgriTalk and at the World Pork Expo down in Des Moines, Iowa at the State Fairgrounds. Big thanks to United Animal Health for making our coverage possible. And speaking of that, let's make time for this industry spotlight. Joining us now, Brian Arnold, Senior Product Manager, Direct Feed Microbials at United Animal Health. Brian, welcome to AgriTalk.
Hey, thank you, Chip. Glad to be here.
Glad that you are here. Animal health is right at the top of the priority list for a lot of producers that are here at World Pork Expo. And when it comes to managing that pig health, it helps to drive profitability. And co-infections are something that we need to pay attention to, isn't it?
Right. Yes. When you think about, managing pig health and in light of profitability, obviously animal health is critical. And oftentimes it's easy to find sick pigs in barns, right? We can go in, we can identify those with good animal husbandry. What gets a little more challenging oftentimes is finding the root cause of some of those health challenges. And oftentimes I think we look for that one thing that may be causing health challenges or disease outbreaks. And in all reality, I think deep down we understand a co-infection is likely the cause, where we have multiple pathogens at play and multiple stressors contributing to disease.
What do producers need to do to better understand the causes of these co-infections?
Sure, it's a great question. I think it really starts with understanding the big picture. And a big piece of that is good diagnostics. At United Animal Health, we partner with production groups, with health and nutrition teams to utilize our PathConnect surveillance platform. And it's a pathogen surveillance platform. And what that continues to show us is when we go in and we try to work in challenge situations to better understand the clinical picture, oftentimes there's more than one pathogen that are causing issues at the sow farm and even downstream.
Yeah. What are you learning from PathConnect so far?
Yes, some really interesting things, Chip. I think maybe three things to key in on that we see. Number one, there's more than one pathogen. I think when we look at sick and healthy populations of pigs, 86% of the time, that number seems to stay pretty steady. 86% of the time, we identify more than one pathogen in situations where enteric disease is present, clinical symptoms. I think another thing we continue to see is the sow is the source. I think it's common belief that we understand the sow is critical to pathogen transmission. If we can improve things at the sow farm, obviously we can improve piglet health and quality downstream. And then I think the third piece is it takes multiple interventions. It takes multiple tools to get around these challenges.
Yeah. Good stuff, Bryan. Where can listeners go for more information?
Yeah, we'd love to visit with us here if you're at World Pork Expo at our booth at our 10. Also, you can go online and visit unitedanh.com to learn more. And we hope to hear from you.
Fantastic, Bryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
You bet. That is Bryan Arnold, a senior product manager at United Animal Health. Okay. As I said this morning, I helped to have a conversation about policy and issues that the National Pork Producers Council is dealing with. I'm here to talk about that panel and the issues. Bryan Humphreys, the CEO of the National Pork Producers Council. Bryan, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being at World Pork Expo. We're starting to see a pickup in the crowd here. Hope all your folks can make it down today or tomorrow. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got Jennifer Scheich, editor of Farm Journal's Pork.
Good morning.
Good morning. Everything good? Keeping up?
Everything's great.
It's a fantastic show already.
It's a beautiful morning out and there's a huge crowd. So it's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we are, Bryan, talking about animal health. And that was a big part of the conversation this morning regarding the funding available for animal health issues in the Farm Bill.
Absolutely. And Bryan mentioned it, right? The challenges that we face with health would only be exacerbated if we were to happen to get a foreign animal disease in this country. Yeah. We can talk about Farm Bill in a minute, but obviously our members in Congress have taken this incredibly seriously. In the House version of the Farm Bill, they included all of our ask on what we refer to as our three-legged stool of animal health or foreign animal disease prevention and preparedness. And that's about $10 million for the National Animal Lab Network, which is huge, $70 million for the National Animal Disease Preparedness and Response Program, and $153 million for the Vaccine Bank. $233 million added into the Farm Bill to take care of those priorities, not just for the U.S. pork industry, but for all livestock agriculture. Clearly demonstrates to me that folks in D.C. get the importance of protecting our industry for animal health.
I've been in the analysis that I've done on the House version of the bill, Bryan, I've been calling it a farmer-friendly bill. But I will admit a lot of that perspective is coming from a row crop producer's perspective, and even a specialty crop producer's. But it's a farmer-friendly bill from a livestock producer's point of view, too, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% agree. I would consider this an American-friendly bill.
Yeah.
We're protecting American agriculture both on the row crop side and the livestock side. Our priorities in there for animal health, the fixes to Proposition 12 are in there. Beagle Brigade, increased funding for foreign market development opportunities to be able to export our product. All things that are going to benefit not just agriculture but all of rural America. I think it's an American-friendly bill.
I like that. An American-friendly bill. That should help. If more people took that perspective in describing the bill, it would grease the skids for it in the House.
I can't argue with that. And I would ask all of your listeners out there as they're talking to their members of Congress over the summer, when they're back campaigning, to make sure they continue that pressure on their members of Congress to pass this bill because of what it does for American agriculture. And I said it this morning, I'll say it again, and I didn't coin this phrase, but food security is national security. And if we don't protect our American food supply through things like the Farm Bill, then we're doing a real disservice to this country. So glad to see the House version making progress in a bipartisan fashion. G.T. Thompson helped draft it, but there were other folks, obviously 4 members of the House Ag Committee voted in support of it, and tremendous opportunity here as we move forward.
Absolutely. We also talked about market development.
Absolutely.
It's to me, if I'm looking for the government to cooperate with private industry and organizations, market development, disease research, this is the area where they really need to be involved.
Absolutely. And we talk about the role and responsibility of the federal government. It's to break down those trade barriers and to gain access for American products into those countries. And we do that through free trade agreements or bilateral agreements or however you want to look at it. But it's about creating the opportunity for the American producer, in this case, specifically the pork industry, to have access to those markets and get their products in. And we've been successful. 25% of pork products produced in this country are exported, creates about $8.16 billion worth of trade for the U.S. pork industry to over 100 countries. We're successful. Part of that success comes from the MAP market access program and the foreign market development funding that comes in the Farm Bill. And again, in the House version, and even a small increase in the draft presented by Senator Stabenow. But in the House version, the market access program went from $200 million to $400 million.
Yep.
And the FMD, or the foreign market development, went from about $34 to $69 million in there. Tremendous opportunity to get into those countries and promote our products. And
when we talk about market development, we'd be remiss to leave out California and Prop 12.
Yep.
How does the Farm Bill deal with Prop 12?
Yep. You talk about trade there. California was responsible for about 13% of domestic of pork consumption domestically. Tremendous opportunity there for us. Challenges since implementation of Proposition 12, July of last year, we've seen a 20% decrease in pork consumption of Prop 12 compliant products, and part of that's because you've seen an almost 20% price increase in the cost of those products in California, and 20% since July of last year. You think, okay, well, everything's gone up. Okay, that's a lot. And we think about pork loins specifically, Chip, 41% increase in the price of pork loins in California.
Okay, when you said that this morning, Brian,
you thought I had said a typo, didn't you?
I am sitting there thinking this last week, and Jennifer, jump in on this. Last week, I bought half point pork loins for $1.49 a pound. I made 16 2-inch thick chops for $16. And yet there's that much of an increase in California in loin prices. That makes no sense to me. We're practically giving them away.
Well, how do people afford it? I just think about how challenging it is and how much money we spend in our family. Both parents are working hard, and the food bill is high. And you think about a 40% increase in a staple food that Californians clearly love and appreciate and value for so many reasons, culturally, nutritionally. It's just not fair.
Right.
It's not right.
Well, and if you haven't had a chance to see it, it was the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in California that came up with those numbers. It wasn't NPPC.
Yep.
And then you go back, the 20% price increase, that's USDA numbers. Those are right out of the chief economist's office. And I as we continue to talk about this, the solution that is included in the House Ag version is a fantastic starting point for conversations, because in my opinion, this protects states' rights and really protects the ability of Iowa legislators to regulate Iowa farmers, not California legislators to regulate Iowa farmers. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for coming by. This went by way too fast. We need to get you on and talk more about these issues. Bryan Humphreys, the CEO of the National Pork Producers Council. Farmer Forum's coming up next.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
Joining us now, Pro Farmer editor Bryan Grady. BH, it's nice to see some plus signs in the soy complex. What's going on?
Yeah, soybeans and soy meal chip, really it's been the meal market that's kind of led it here, but both are posting pretty solid gains at mid-morning and just some corrective buying after the recent selling. But, we're seeing $5 to $8 gains in the meal market at the moment. And so that's helping to support soybeans, which are around 6 to 7 cents higher in the old crop contracts. There is pressure in soy oil, so there's quite a bit of spreading activity going on within the product markets there. And then the real selling is coming in the wheat market, and we're starting to see double-digit losses now on the winter wheat contracts. Spring wheat futures aren't quite as much lower, but still solidly lower here at mid-morning.
Okay. All right. Man, here we are at the World Pork Expo. I wish you had better news for me on that hog market, but here it is under pressure again.
Yeah, so another day and another round of selling.
Yeah.
If anything, I guess it's just modest pressure in the front end of the market. So the June contract's just trading a little bit below unchanged, but traders really are interested in narrowing up those premiums that that front month contract holds to the cash index, and basically it's down to almost nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
And so kind of just pessimistic, but heavy selling in the back end of the market there.
Yeah, that's not a lot of fun there. The beef market really seems to be helping out cattle trade.
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of a firmer tone in the cattle futures this morning, both live cattle and feeders, but wholesale beef prices continue to push higher. We're now seeing some packers cutting in the black, and so that's a positive, and probably won't weigh as much on the cash market this week as once was feared.
Thank you, Bryan. Pro Farmer editor Bryan Grady on Markets Now.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. We've cleared the schedule for you. Give us a call at 855-482-5524 and join the conversation.
We've got a lot of conversation already happening down here at the World Pork Expo. Big thank you to United Animal Health for making it possible to bring you coverage here on AgriTalk. With that, let's make time for this industry spotlight. Joining us, Dr. Matt Ritter, Senior VP, Research and Development at United Animal Health. Dr. Matt, it's good to see you again.
Good morning.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. Weather's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Technology's really being featured down here at the World Pork Expo. How does the changing levels of technology affect what you're doing in research and development?
Yeah, this is a space I personally been following closely for the last 10 years. And as we go up and down these aisles, we've seen huge advancements in swine digital technologies. And we as United believe now is the time for us to dedicate a barn to the future concept, where we start to stack some of these technologies in the barn and see, can we really start to more efficiently and effectively manage pigs and collect more data for our research trials?
Man, this is really intriguing to me. What do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, we're going to start out with 4 simple questions.
Okay.
Can we use these technologies to predict the onset of disease? Can we start to implement precision feeding to different subpopulations of pigs? Can we manage variation and more successfully market our pigs? And can we reduce labor needs in our barns?
Fantastic. Okay. So, of course, you've got to evaluate the efforts that you're putting out there. How are you doing that?
Well, I think first and foremost, these technologies are going to have to align to our business objectives. They've got to be proven for accuracy and reliability. A piece that I personally probably have misunderstood is just the importance of the compatibility with other technologies and data systems we're currently using. And then ultimately, these are going to have a compelling business case and return on investment for the producer.
Yeah, we're going to have the Farmer Forum here in just a second, Matt. Give them some advice on how they should be looking to use this technology.
Yeah, I think you need to take advantage of the opportunity here and see what's being showcased for new and innovative digital technologies. And I think for years we've thought about when it comes. It's here.
It's here.
I think producers need to be thinking about running a pilot in their barns and start working through that learning curve so we understand the internet needs, the electrical needs, and then again, this compatibility piece. We want to make sure that we're not asking our caretakers to enter the same data into 2 or 3 different systems.
Yep.
And we got to test the hypothesis. Does more data lead to better outcomes? So you've got to make sure as you start a pilot that you can actually manage big data and mine it to make real-time decisions to impact your bottom line.
Yeah. More data is good if it's good data.
That's right.
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out, right?
That's right. It's got to be good. Matt, where can listeners go for more information?
Yeah, United Animal Health will be talking more about this Barn of the Future concept and how we hope to help lead the industry in this space to leverage precision ag technologies in the swine space.
Nice. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
That's
Have a
Dr.
great day.
Matt Ritter, Senior VP, Research and Development at United Animal Health. All right, it is time to get this Farmer Forum started. We've got Jennifer Scheich with us, editor, Farm Journal Pork, and a producer in Illinois, correct?
Small level, yeah.
But still, nonetheless.
Maybe are.
Yeah, maybe the boots get dirty every now and then. Yeah.
Dirty every now. You gotta pay for the bills.
That you've got skin in the game. Skin in the game.
Sure.
Lori Stevermer from Minnesota, the president of the National Pork Producers Council this year. Lori, thank you so much for making time. How are things?
Oh, things are great, and I'm happy to be here. I mean, it's World Pork Expo week. There's great weather. We're coming together. It's going to be good.
Yeah. This had to be close to the top of the list of things that you were looking forward to as president, right?
It is one of my favorite events, and I've been coming to World Pork Expo for a long time as exhibitor, and it is one of my favorite events. And just the things that we see here, the collaboration, the networking, it's hard to describe to others that haven't been here. But then once they come, they're like, oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Matt Gent is the president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association. Matt, it's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Chip. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad that you're here. Tell me about your operation.
Yeah, so my family and I have a farrow to finish hog operation, southeast Iowa, down by Wellman. And of course, we also raise corn and soybeans, and just love what we do raising pigs.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Lori, you were on the policy panel that I helped moderate this morning. How do you feel? How do you feel about the Farm Bill and the policy that's coming through?
You know, I have to give a lot of credit to our.
And I should say, boy, really throw that producer hat on.
Yeah. I will throw my producer hat on. I think as producers, it's hard because, and I mentioned it this morning, we're doers, we're fixers, and I added we're fighters also. So we look at things and we want to get stuff done. And so why isn't the Farm Bill done? How come they can't move faster? Why isn't Congress getting things done?
Right.
But when you listen to our staff, and if you get a chance to go to the Hill and advocate and actually see how things work, you understand the complexity of a Farm Bill and really what's all involved with it, from all the different commodity organizations to food. It's complex, but I am really happy, and producers should be happy about it too. And I don't know if they fully realize it, that everything that we were asking about in the pork industry, the animal health funding, the Prop 12 fix, all of that was included in the House Ag version. And that doesn't happen every day. And so we need to feel good about that. It's a bit of a marathon. We got the Senate to go yet, and then the full House and Senate. But we need to feel good about the way it is right now.
Matt, does it feel like, as Lori said, the Farm Bill and G.T. Thompson, the chairman of the House, was listening to hog producers when they put this together?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we're making headway. There's a lot more noise around it than there was in the past. Unfortunately, it's later than a lot of producers would like to see it, but we're getting somewhere. And
Good.
We just need to finish it.
Yeah.
And come to, united terms that we can all work with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like Lori said, from a producer's point of view, they're all used to getting things done. It's that's where a lot of this frustration is coming from.
Yep, absolutely. Myself being a producer, we want actions now.
Yeah.
We want results yesterday. And, this stuff just takes forever. And the longer I've been around the organization, like Iowa Pork, you work at it. And there's just so many levels of people that are involved. It takes a lot longer than what producers want to hear.
Yeah, that's right. Animal health, it's right at the top of the list of things that I think people are talking about. There's a lot going on in all animal health. Not just hogs. How's the industry doing, Matt?
Well, that's a twofold question, I think. There's a lot of disease challenges out there that as producers we work through. The normal stuff, the PRRS, the PED. Some of that stuff is not as predictable as what it used to be. It used to always be our Christmas present, right? We see that stuff pop up randomly here and there. But the twofold to that is the producers that are producing today are very efficient at what they do. And that's also why we probably have a demand problem, because we're producing a lot of pigs.
A lot of pigs.
I mean,
saving a lot of pigs, man.
A lot more than I've ever seen in my entire life. It's amazing what our animal can do.
Yeah,
it truly is.
No doubt. Lori, on the animal health front, what is it that you want consumers to know about what you guys are doing to keep those animals healthy?
Well, when I talk to consumers, I always stress the fact that pork is safe, wholesome, and nutritious. A lot of people think because of what they read in the media, which is not correct, that all we do is use antibiotics and we're not feeding them like, hey, you're still feeding them garbage. No, we use antibiotics judiciously when needed under the guidance of a veterinarian. I would argue that our pigs eat probably better than we do as humans. I mean, we got balanced diets based on stage of growth, and we know we humans don't eat that way. When you start talking about the environment they're in, the cleanliness of the environment, and then you add in how we use manure as fertilizer for our crops, and you start explaining that to them, you can see light bulbs go off. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. And that's, we want them to feel good about pork. They don't have to worry about it. It's safe, wholesome, nutritious, and really economical now.
Very economical right now. The meat case just blows me away. Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about that. I said it in the last segment. 2 half loins, and I made 16 chops for $16. I kind of joked around like we're almost giving it away, but Matt,
I want to weigh in on that. We are giving it away, and that's part of our problem. Yeah. We have to change.
There you go.
Giving away our product is not the answer. We have to change consumer relevance to our product. The consumer shows that they will pay for protein, and I know that, and everyone knows that because of beef prices today.
Yep.
Right? We all thought high beef prices was going to translate to more pork sales.
Yep.
And here we are a year later, and that necessarily hasn't happened.
Yep.
And so they're still buying beef at high prices. So we got to help the consumer understand that pork is just as nutritious and better tasting. And
you said it, Matt.
Discounting our product is not the answer.
You said it. Good for you. So you said it 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I said, geez, we got to get these retail beef prices down or this beef demand's going to go to heck on us.
Yep.
And I had a producer in Oklahoma call me up and say, we don't need lower beef prices at the store. What we need is to move more of the consumer dollar down the supply chain, put it in the producer's pocket. Yep. He's 100% right 10 years ago. He's 100% right today. And we got to do it in the pork industry too. We got to figure it out. You guys stick around. Are we putting the right product out there for the consumer? Let's talk about that next here on AgriTalk.
In the morning, you're coffeeed up and you're thinking. In the afternoon, you've calmed down, but you're still thinking. We're here all day. AgriTalk.
And we are here all day at the World Pork Expo in Des Moines at the State Fairgrounds, booth V785. Stop by and see us. Welcome back to AgriTalk. Big thank you to United Animal Health for making our coverage from WPX possible. We're in the middle of the Farmer Forum. Lori Stevermer from Minnesota, president of the National Pork Producers Council, and Matt Gent, president of Iowa Pork Producers Association. Guys, great conversation at the end of the last segment. Lori, are we putting the right product? Are pork producers putting the right product out there in front of consumers?
Well, I would say one thing that the National Pork Board learned through its market segmentation study is that there's different products for different market segments. There's that individual that just wants it quick and easy and convenient.
Yep.
There's also a market segment that's the adventurer, right? They give me a challenge, I want to experiment with pork. And so the challenge will be putting products to meet those different market segments.
Yeah.
I will also add that those products can be in different spots. They're not just in our grocery stores anymore. In Minnesota, we have Quick Trip. We have Casey's. Yeah. I mean, who thought that you could buy sandwiches and food at Quick Trip? I mean, that used to be a gas station.
Exactly.
I don't even know. I know they sell gas, but they sell a lot more food now. So we have to really, the convenience.
Huge.
We have to think differently.
Jennifer, the convenience factor, it's got to come into play on some of these products.
Well, I mean, I hate to raise my hand that convenient and easy and tasty is what I'm looking for, but it is. I'm a busy mom of 3. I'm trying to balance a lot of things. So what can I serve that's going to be delicious and is pork, but is fast? And so this weekend we had a graduation party for my daughter. We bought ready to go pulled pork that was amazing and delicious. We tested it out first. It was a hit. Everybody raved about it. And guys, it was simple. It was easy to do for my family. I also eat a lot of snacks in gas stations across the country on our way back and forth to livestock shows. And one of my favorite things is a bacon pork stick. Yeah. It's protein, it's low calorie, it's delicious, and it's pork in a stick fast. It tastes like bacon. Right, it's amazing. So that innovation and ready to eat, I think, is important.
Nothing wrong with a rack of ribs pulled off the smoker that you've been working on for a few hours, though, is there, Matt?
No, there's not. But I'm just like a lot of producers that I don't have a lot of time to stand around a smoker. Right. I mean, you walk around this place today and you're going to see meat that's been on a smoke for 10, 12 hours, and it's phenomenal, right? But the average consumer does not have time for that. And we got to realize that. Chicken's kicking our butt when it comes to products that are ready to eat right now. Yeah. And we got to figure that out.
Fried chicken sandwiches are just, it seems like that's everybody's go-to for something quick that isn't, that maybe carries a little bit more of a healthy tag to it.
Yep.
A pork tenderloin can be right there on the same scale.
That's right.
The exact
we got to be able to get
scale.
That pork tenderloin in places other than the Midwest.
Exactly.
People come to the Midwest just for it. So why can't it be elsewhere?
Okay. Another big issue down here, and we need to talk about this, profitability in the industry. Lori, it's not a great economic time for this industry, is it?
It's not, and Matt can certainly speak to this, but I mean, we've gone through the longest stretch of losses as an industry that we've ever had. Now, fortunately, we have some profitability now, but it really influences the way we look ahead. I think we have producers that are wondering, what does it take for me to be in this business long term? We have the next generation saying, do I want to be in this business long term? And where do I fit into this industry? So lots of questions and some concerns.
Yeah, Matt, when you talk to the quote unquote experts out there, they'll say, well, the market is telling you that you got to cut costs. You got to be more efficient in the finishing house. Dude, I don't know how much meat is left on that bone.
I don't either. I mean, the things we do today versus 10 years ago, our pig is so efficient. And our costs are, I'm not saying they're as low as they're going to go, but like you said, there's not a lot of meat left on the bone.
Right.
We've got this game figured out. Yeah. And so it comes down to what can we sell the pork for?
So if you wonder why I talk about how are we building demand in markets as much as I do, that's it. Demand has got to be the answer to pull us up out of this, right?
Yes, 100%. And thank God we have exports, right? But how much more can we really grow that? These other countries have figured out how to raise pork too. Yeah. Because they figured out how to raise corn.
Yeah.
And so I personally believe that domestic demand is where we got to fix it.
Yeah. Lori, on these export markets, market development, maintaining Mexico, number one priority in my book. But we've got the Asian markets that we need to maintain. I'd love to get some business back from China. And wouldn't it be great if Africa lived up to its potential?
You bet. You bet. I mean, part of what we do is defend the markets that we have and allow access to them yet for our pork, but then it's going out and developing those new markets. And it's not the way it used to be with free trade agreements. There's different frameworks in place.
Yeah.
And it's just, it takes longer, but you're right. There's opportunities out there. South Africa is a good example. And so we need to, that's what we do. That's what our VP of International Exports, Maria Ziba, does. And we need to stay in front of the government too, for the USTR, and tell them how important this is. And once we get that door opened up, then Pork Board and USMEF and others can come in and really develop that market in country.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the recipe. That is the recipe to make this work. And I certainly hope that when it comes to relationship building, that they rely on producers to build those relationships with the importers, the overseas markets. Because if we put a hog producer in front of an importer and let that conversation just happen, it turns into business dang near every time, doesn't it?
We're still the safest place to raise pork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's